Hello. It's 7 p.m. and here I am. How are you doing this evening? It's Martin Luther Day. So everything today is about Martin Luther. So how are you doing on this wonderful, wonderful evening? We are just trying to get over the winter, but it's cold. It's not ever going to go. Another 6, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, who knows? But it's, -1. So it's not too bad in Toronto this evening. Not cold enough for a fire, so I didn't put one on, but it looks like it's going to get cold later on. So I wanted to give you guys a few minutes to come on, so I thought I'd just chat a little bit about what I know. What I know for sure is that we have to keep on trying. Tonight I didn't have a guest, so I have a lovely guest for tomorrow, and she is very fascinating. She has a lot to say. So I'm hoping that we can get to her early and have a nice long conversation with her. So tonight we're here and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Dr. Martin Luther King. My IG Live is on Dr. Martin Luther King. It's because it's the day that's given to celebrate his life and all his accomplishment. And it's so important for us to be there to know about a great man like this. When Dr. Martin Luther King was killed, I was quite young and lived in Montreal. It was a very sad day. And it was just very painful. That night before, day before, during the day, he had this wonderful speech. And we all know about it. But one thing I know for sure, he had dreams. And his dreams was absolutely amazing. He told us about what he saw in his dreams or what he dreamt. And his dreams is similar to our dreams. The hopes we have, the dreams we have for a better life. The dreams we have in our goals and our dreams. He talked about that to us. In all of his sermons, he never gave us anything that did not give us hope. He also told us one of the great things we can do for sure is to make sure we serve others, find a way to serve others. This morning, I did one of his other quotes as my morning blessing. And I thought tonight I would use this quote. This quote is a different one. He said, "You're not only responsible for what you say, but also for what you do not say." So that sends a message to us that we cannot always say things and know that we're responsible for that, right? Because somebody heard us say it. But when we know something is wrong, when we know something is not right, we also need to speak up. So Dr. King taught us how to stand up for what is not right. He stood up when people couldn't vote. He stood up when people couldn't get proper schooling. He stood up against all kinds of injustices in America. His standing up for those things took us all over the world, everywhere. Today, we celebrate his day. We celebrate everything about him. And that is awesome. But, I always said, give me the rose when I can smell it. That is what the poet said. It's great and it's wonderful that he had to die for us to realize how great a man he was. But hi Drizo, hi Yoko. But we didn't. We had to wait for him to die for us to see that. But the poet said, give me the rose when I can smell it. They had to fight to get a day to honor him. People had to protest. They had to stand in line and fight to get that done. But here they are. We have a day to celebrate him. It's a public holiday all over the United States. Yes, Dr. King informed us that we're just as responsible for our silence as for what we say. What he's asking us to do is not to turn our backs on injustice, not turn our backs when others are being abused or threatened. Do not look away when we see some action by others which is not fair. He said in those words, do not stand by when we see something which is not right taking place, and don't say anything about it. It's very hard to practice that, but it's very, very difficult, especially in a time of such anger and rage all over the world. So when you have to stand up for somebody, You might have to do it in silence, but you must speak up. He's saying, don't stand still and let it happen, because somebody's being held prisoner when they shouldn't, being abused when they shouldn't. So we now have a slogan that says, if you see something, do something. I wonder where that came from. I wonder if that is his words, that we made a new one from him. You know how it is. You discover something and somebody comes and they improve on it. But his word to us was, you know, if you stand by, you're not only responsible for what you say, but what you don't say. So when you stand by and something happens, you are as responsible. Well, here was Dr. King again, teaching us how to be an involved citizen. That's 60 years ago. He's teaching still and will always reign true as long as we human inherit the earth, you know, inhabit the earth. So as long as we live on earth, what he says will always be there. It will always be strong. It will always just tell us, hi Susie, it will always tell us that we as human, we have to stand up. We have to stand up to make sure everything is very important for each and every one of us to notice when somebody is being hurt. He said, you're not responsible for only your words, but you're responsible for what you see and you don't speak up, or what you know and you don't speak it. How truly to be responsible for each other? That's what he's telling you. He was asking us to become part of the human race. He was reminding us to get involved in life, the life around us, the life happening around us. He was asking us to serve by being aware of what is going on around us and to step in and do or say something about it. Try some way to correct injustice, no matter where it is coming from. Sometimes we don't have to go far at all to see injustice. Sometimes it's in our own homes. We hear it from our friends. We hear it from others. We hear it on the news. So we don't really have to go around the world. We just have to maybe look, turn this way or turn that way, and there it is staring us in the face. Sometimes it might be someone in our close-knit family or friends causing hurt, or someone else saying something that deflates another human being. So it's not only words, right? Somebody can treat you that way. I told you guys once of the lady I saw crossing Jane and Finch with a little baby boy about 4 or 5, who thought he was a big boy. And he didn't want his Grammy to hold his hand when crossing the street. She gave him such a swift hug and she said to him, you'll obey me because you won't amount to anything. You're a bad boy. All he wanted to do was to strut across the street. And I stopped her and I told her, I said, you know, that's not nice. I said, why? I was driving, so I turned my car into a gas station and parked it and ran after her. And I said, why did you do that? It was summer, I could hear you. I was coming from teaching a class. And I said, really? I said, why did you tell him he was going to amount to nothing? Why did you tell him he was bad? He didn't seem to be doing too much. But I said, even he was, you could find other ways to correct him. She was mad, of course. But she looked at me and I said to her, whose child is this? It's my son. I said, well, where is he? He's in jail. I said, okay. I said, so why are you telling him that? Well, he didn't want me to hold his hand. He said he's a big boy. He can walk on the street with me without me holding his hand. I said, okay. So I said, couldn't you just say to him, you're teaching him how to do it? So that when he comes older and he has to help an old lady, or when you get older and he has to help you cross the street, he will know what to do. You didn't have to tell him he wasn't going to amount to anything. He's 4 and a half, he's 5, right? She said, he's just turning 5. I said, and that is the best you could give him for his birthday. I said, I don't know what happened to your son, but maybe this is time you look back and just realize that he wants to grow up. And you need to pull him back and just say to him, you know what, I need to hold your hands. This is dangerous. When you get older, you will be able to do it. And you will be able to do it with me. And I will be so old, you'll have to hold my hand or to help me across the street. She looked at me and she said, you know, thank you. Thank you. She said, sometimes you don't forget, you don't remember, and you just say things and it comes out of your mouth. And I never saw the lady again, but I felt better. Because I was coming from teaching a class of people, financial literacy, that didn't understand a lot. And so many of them looked at me after 6 weeks of classes and said, Miss, I wish you were my mom. And jokingly, I said, you wouldn't survive. So I can see the type of mental abuse they went through. But, you know, and that starting at 4.5 or 5, what is going to happen to him? So it's not, we cannot, you know, what Dr. King said to us, we have to try to encourage the person inflicting the hurt to see what harm they're causing others. You don't have to jump in at the time when they're angry. You know, I always say, you live to fight another day. Try it. I took a chance because she was a woman and she was about my age. So I took a chance, and luckily for me, it was not a bad chance. We have to try to encourage others to stop inflicting the hurt, to see what harm they're causing the people. Standing silently when injustice is being done is not an option. We don't have a choice. We don't only serve others by teaching them what we know. We can show others and serve others by teaching them how to do it. So teaching them what we know and teaching them a skill, great. But we can teach them how to behave. Because sometimes in that ragged, you know, she's an older lady. She doesn't need to be raising a little 4-year-old, but that was what she had to do. And maybe it had frustrations with it, but I gave her something to think. And I always hope and I always remember that one day she will remember and she will stop herself. I think she got the message because her eye filled up with tears. I didn't go any further because they would have towed my car. So anyway, we should stop. We should always step in and say or do something when we can. If Dr. King hadn't stepped in, so much injustice would still continue in America. So much more. As a lot as we see, so much more would. But today they honor him. His speeches are read all over the world. His speeches are read in every nook and cranny in America. I heard Brandon Bouchard say this morning, he was given a book by his father of Dr. King's speeches. And he said he kept reading them. So obviously he left his mark. We know he left his mark. Like the great ones before him, like Mahatma Gandhi of India. These people fought a life without violence. They fought for what they believed. Even when he was locked up and they set dogs on him and they put a fire hose on him and whatever else and sprayed him with these things, he stood his ground and he fought a fight. He leaves us a legacy and today we celebrate him. How I wish he had received that same type of whatever is happening today and he had just lived long enough to see it, to savor it. I'm sure he must be feeling it wherever he may be. But this is what it is. So we need to follow Dr. King's teaching and watch what we say and also what we do not say, especially when somebody else is hurting. We need to stay in the present. That is when we can notice it. If we are dangling in the back of the past and we are leaping into the future, not realizing where we are and what we're doing and what we're saying and what we're seeing, how can we fix it? The present is where action is. The present is where it is to see what's going on. The present is when we can watch what is happening around us and be part of the solution, not the problem. Not in any way should we be part of the problem. We should always step in, maybe timidly, and observe the situation, but we cannot always rush in. I do understand that. But if we know somebody is hurting somebody, we can at least tell the person being hurt, you know, you have to come out of this. Until we say that person maybe is killed and then we turn back. I wanted to say something. I wanted to does not bring them back. Oh, I wanted to is not going to take the hurt away. So the most important thing is to try to help others by saying something. You cannot say it by the person inflicting the pain, but you can tell the person receiving the pain, you know, this is not normal. This is not supposed to be done. Nobody is supposed to treat you like that. Love does not come in that form, with those words or with those blows. Anybody who hits you, that is not love. There's another way to get this. So we have other things we can do, and Dr. King asked us to be there. You're not only responsible, he said, for what you say, but also for what you did not say. So honor Dr. King by doing something for someone else today. by remembering to just say hello to somebody else in a nice way and making them feel that yes, they matter, and you see they're being hurt. And maybe you cannot say something to the person hurting them, but you can talk to them. You can strengthen them. You can encourage them. You can find a number for them to call. You can tell them of facilities that are available, but say something. Say something to the one that is hurting and listen. Listen when they want to speak. Listen a little longer. You know, now in COVID, we do have to do that. We have to listen to somebody that is telling me I'm lonely. They're saying, and we all have heard it, that there's a lot more abuse happening in homes because everybody's trapped together. Before, some people could go to work, so they were away from it for 10 hours maybe, but now they're in it for 10 additional hours, and some people are being hurt. So if you know of that, you have to say to them, you know, you can try. There's other ways you can do that. You can encourage them not to push it. Sometimes we realize the person is volatile, and we don't realize we can stay away from that, and there's other ways to do that. It's very, very difficult. But our job is to be responsible for the things we see. So if we don't say anything, or we don't offer to help, or we don't offer to do something about it, it's sad, but we're just as guilty as the person that is inflicting the pain. So sending you light and joy this evening, and remember to share this video and love others and treat others as you want to be treated, just as you want to be treated. If you're in trouble, you will ask, you will hope and pray that somebody will send you some love and somebody will send you some guidance. So I'm not saying like you want to be treated, I'm saying as you want to be treated, just as you want to be treated. So that is the best thing you can do. Teach somebody else that they're okay, they're valuable, don't stay in an abusive situation. COVID is killing us left, right, and center, mentally, emotionally, physically, financially. All the 5 pillars are cracking under COVID. So if you can help and you can say something, or you can do something to help somebody to feel better, make sure you do that. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to give tons of dollars of money, but you can have a listening ear, a little bit of advice, a smile, a phone call, a FaceTime. So if you see something that is wrong, don't not say anything, say something. So have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. And tomorrow night, I'm having Nikki with me, and she's fabulous. She's a young woman, so we have quite a chat. So sending you light and joy on this wonderful evening. Good night. I'm so glad you guys came. I forgot to say thank you. Oh, where's my gratitude? I'm so grateful you guys dropped in tonight to spend time with me. So thank you so much on this wonderful day. Bye-bye.